Do you struggle with getting repeat locksmithing customers? If so, this conversation is for you. Hey everyone, so recently a question was sent in to me actually, but after reading it and thinking about it, I was like, you know what? The best person to answer the question is this guy, my dad, Pete, the Lockfather. How's it going, Dad?
It's going well. How about yourself?
Good, good. So you've been locksmithing since 1980.
Right.
Which is longer than I've been alive.
Yep.
And you're still locksmithing.
Yep.
So I think you probably have some pretty good insight onto this. And as someone who worked in your locksmithing company as well, I know you have experience with it. So
okay.
Let's go ahead and let's hop in. So here's the question that we sent in from Spencer. Thanks for that. He says, for a growing company, what kind of service accounts should a locksmith be looking to get? I've been doing both automotive and residential commercial work, but all of my work comes from one-off customers, not regular service accounts. How does one go about getting reoccurring accounts, and what kinds of businesses should I be focusing on? Now, Dad, I know for a fact that you have a lot of repeat customers.
Yes.
And so I kind of want to get your first reaction to the answer to this question, but then I kind of want to dive in on two areas, kind of like one, repeat automotive customers, and then two, repeat commercial or residential customers. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, but when you first hear this, what is your first thought?
Well, if you're in the business, you want to get as much business as you can, first off. And repeat customers and everything, you just got to go out there and hustle. We go actually door business to business and give them our card. And now with a pamphlet, just say, hey, just stopping by if you ever need any lock work, here's our stuff. And if they'll ask or they say, get out, say, I'm sorry for, the inconvenience, but we still do it. Yeah. Because there's never enough business when you're in business.
Yeah.
Because I'm willing to hire more people. So when's enough?
Sure. Okay. So let's first talk about automotive.
Okay.
And then we'll go into residential commercial. So when it comes to automotive customers, like what types of customers do you have that are reoccurring?
Dealerships.
Okay.
Used car dealerships. More used car, but the main dealerships don't want to deal with it, so they bring us everything.
Okay.
For a rekey or whatever. And it seems like they always want a better discount, but we don't give them any because you still got to pay your bills. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. So when it comes to like car dealerships and all of that stuff, you have a relationship with them that maybe, I think in a lot of cases, you're not necessarily like their primary if they need an extra key, but they call you for other types of situations?
No, a lot of times we're their people. They send the customer up with a PO and say, make a key and bill it to us.
Okay, like a used car dealer.
Yes, or the new one.
Okay, and so they'll sell a vehicle.
Yep.
And they tell the customer, hey, go up with this PO.
Right.
And you get an extra key made.
Right.
And then you send the car
bill.
dealer
the
bill.
Yes.
Okay.
Works out pretty good.
Yeah. And do you give a discount? Usually you don't give any discount
No, I don't
there.
give any discount.
Okay.
Let's
talk about mechanics, and like today's world, there's so much things going on as far as like people are going to mechanics for this or that. And a lot of times they don't necessarily do all that work.
Right.
Do you have mechanics that bring you locks to rekey?
Our mechanics we use, they bring us stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Because that's not their forte. They could, be wrenching versus playing with tumblers and stuff, rekeying a lock or making a key for one.
So a lot of times they'll take the lock out or whatever it is and then bring it into you.
Right. Take the door lock out, whatever.
And have you fit it.
Right.
Another one that I know that is interesting that you do is kind of like car restoration type companies.
Yes. The old stuff, the new stuff, anything, everybody likes to have those old rides looking good. And the the car, the body shop, I call it.
Body shops,
What
yeah.
Reed does it, takes them off and brings them in and say, I just had these chromed. Well, you just chromed the shutter into the thing. And I said, we're going to have to, take a knife and cut it a little, and hopefully it doesn't chip it.
Yeah.
Because let's hope not.
Let's hope.
But there's no guarantees.
Yeah. Okay. So to kind of recap, we're talking about car dealers, new and used,
Yep.
letting them know what services you offer.
Right.
Because a lot of times, by the way, they're not going to do it all.
No.
Right? Like they either don't have the capability or the interest,
Right.
whatever it might be, especially kind of on the older stuff.
Right.
Right. The second would be mechanics.
Yep.
Right. And then the third, which kind of goes along with that, is like a collision center.
Collision center. We
type
do
place.
tons of them all the time.
Yes. And so by going to them and letting them know, hey, if you're having to replace this or that and you need it to fit the same key, bring it into us.
Right.
I guess, so to answer that question, those are for automotive,
Yes.
those are good ones to kind of focus on in your area. And I think kind of the most underserved out of those is the collision centers.
Yes.
Right?
It is.
Or the car restoration centers. Maybe
Right.
there's a place that restores old hot rods, right? And they're going to want this or that. And so that's
Right.
good.
That's why I like all the old locks. I'm a hoarder when it comes to old locks.
Yeah.
New,
Sure. Okay, so next let's dive into residential, commercial. And I don't know, we probably shouldn't group these together. So let's talk about residential first. When it comes to residential repeat customers,
Right.
who are they?
Well, a lot of it is your property management companies.
Uh-huh.
If you have a storefront where they can drop stuff off,
Yep.
they prefer that because they want to pay a service charge or a trip charge to come
Yeah.
out all the time. And those type of companies, what's that, OBO or
Oh, Airbnb.
yeah, those type places.
Yep.
Same thing, property management.
Yeah.
A bunch of different places like that. Apartment buildings,
Yeah.
drop off, go to the managers, knock and give them your card, and they'll say, well, so-and-so does it, or they'll take care of it.
Yeah.
So it's all about out there hustling all the time, talking to people, getting to different clubs, like Chamber of Commerce. And you pass out your cards and they'll always use you,
Yeah.
We were slow, last week? And I sent the guys out with the flyers and go into a bunch of businesses.
Yeah.
But that's, apartment building, commercial,
Yeah.
Where they have a large amount of people and they turn over because it's a factory or something.
Yeah. Now, would you say that with all like the new smart key stuff out there, has that hurt that type of business for you?
Not for me. There's always some property management companies will go, oh, we don't need you guys anymore. We can do this.
Yeah.
But
it's probably the biggest one that kind of drops off to do their own work. They have their handymen that
Right.
work on all their stuff and that sort of
Right.
thing.
But when they jack something up, they come to us.
Yeah.
So that's the good part.
Yeah. Okay. And so when it comes to residential, you're talking, just mainly property management.
Right.
Property management, realtors.
Right.
And that sort of thing. Right?
Yes.
But mainly property management is how you kind of get that.
Well, I actually have a certificate we make up. Talk to the realtor, and they pay for it. And you put on there, good for a trip charge, 5 rekeys, 6 keys, and they sold the house, so they give this as a housewarming gift. And they just present it to us. Money's already changed hands because it's already been paid for.
Okay.
And you get a lot of people repeat business that way.
Okay. And so you're giving a discount there, I'm
Nope.
sure? No discount either. Okay. Well, hey, there you have it. All right. So let's get on to commercial.
Okay?
So when it comes to commercial, what types of customers have you found that are like repeat?
Hotels, motels, because people take the keys. If it's a big facility, they most likely have their own person.
Yep.
Any mom and pop, just let them know you're out there. Bigger factories, gas stations. You know how many people, not the 24-hour, but the other gas stations where they're individually owned,
Yeah.
or even corporate, they need their locks changed because the manager gets mad.
Yeah, management turnover, okay,
Right.
for a bit like the different gas stations and stuff.
Exactly.
Okay. And how about, and I know this is a big one, but like commercial property managers.
Right? That is. We do quite a few of those.
And so,
And that's a realtor most of the time manages those. Where their guys do it, but they come constantly to you.
yes, right? That, or, every time a new tenant comes out, right, it's in everyone's best interest to obviously have it rekeyed.
Yeah, so you're not liable. The same with people that have rental houses,
Yeah. And so how would you go about finding these commercial property managers? Because they're a little different, right? They're like
Look up Google. Commercial properties.
Hey,
broker or whatever,
Yep.
And we do a lot of that stuff all the time.
Because usually when it comes to like healthcare facilities
Yes.
and that type of stuff,
Right.
there's usually a company or two behind a lot of those leases.
Yes, but we also do a lot of hospitals where they contact us direct, and a lot of elderly homes, where they're taking care of the elderly.
Yeah.
And they have all these drug carts. Things break, the locks need to be rekeyed or replaced because they're beat up.
Yep. Yeah. The elderly homes. Yeah, you're right. That's a really good one.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I just gave a $6,000 bid on doing one today.
Really? Very good. So yeah, it seems like from my perspective, the commercial is probably like the least price sensitive.
Right.
Not in all cases,
No,
of course, but
Of course.
kind of the most repeat type work, right? Because a tenant's going to be, typically the property management type companies for commercial are pretty large.
Right.
And as that turnover happens, unlike a house where I think a lot of times it's not like the security of it isn't as big of a deal like it seems. It is, obviously,
right.
but sometimes it doesn't feel that way.
Right.
But in a commercial setting, it's a very big deal to make sure the tenant that just moved out no longer has a key to get in because the new people are going to be setting it up.
Right.
Right.
Because every time residential, renter goes out, theoretically they should replace.
Absolutely.
So they're not responsible if somebody comes in, breaks in, steals, rapes, whatever.
Yeah, and we know for sure, like a lot of realtors do, but I've talked to quite a few,
But don't.
friends, that it honestly doesn't really cross their mind, right?
Right.
And so I think that's maybe an opportunity there,
Right.
too, of educating.
Yeah.
But so lastly, and I think hopefully we gave a lot of good examples of what that looks like. But I guess lastly, I would like you just your own opinion, and I want you to rate the order of profitability and reliability as far as these funnels, these streams of work come in from. So if you had to go number 1, meaning the best, 3 the worst, how would you order automotive, residential, and commercial?
I'd say commercial is number 1.
Okay.
Residential, would be 2.
Okay.
Automotive would be 3.
Okay.
But some months it's complete opposite. It's all mixed in.
Yeah.
And automotive might be the best one from all the body shops and, collision center dealers. You just never know. You just want to, it takes time to build your company. So don't run out and go buy everything, because when you need it, you want to first check your book, make sure you have, especially in automotive, the correct stuff.
Absolutely.
And then you can take the lock apart. Because even in my own company, they go, okay, and they rip everything apart. Oh, we don't have the face cap. That's why I say you always first check everything before you tear into it.
Yes.
To make sure you have replacement parts.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
that makes complete sense. Yeah. And now the one last thing I just want to throw out there, okay, a little bonus here, is I feel like we can't
I'm getting paid? No.
Oh, what? I feel like we can't really have this conversation without me bringing this up, which is the importance of having your own proprietary either key control or key restriction system.
Right.
Right?
No, absolutely, because especially on commercial, even residential, they have to come back to you to get that key or another lock or whatever. So the MX-13, Medico, all the, Keymart.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, any of them. I mean, at the end of the day, I just feel like for us to talk about repeat business and that sort of thing, like
how you repeat.
When it comes to commercial work in particular, you want to have your own some sort of key control or high security keyway that restricts access for the security for the customer, but also is a reliable way to continue to get repeat business. Would you agree?
Right. I mean, if you're just looking at key control, MX-13 would work fantastic.
Yeah.
If you're looking for pick resistant, drill resistant, Medico, multi-lock, ASA.
Also, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now, like, are you going to give me a bill after that for that MX-13 plug, or is that free?
Do I get free merchandise?
Oh, hey. But no, yeah, so I know it doesn't quite answer your question because you want to talk about what type of repeat customers to go find, and I get that, but I just feel like it's just something to throw in there is just to consider that at a minimum.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people go, I don't know how to get work. Well, instead of sitting on the couch, that's what I had to do to go get work.
Yeah.
And it's worked out fantastic.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, great. Hopefully that answers your question. But of course, for all of you watching and listening to this, we would love to know how and what you can add to the conversation in your perspective and what works good for you that might be able to help others. So, of course, we appreciate you watching and listening. Dad, thanks again for coming on and talking about it.
And I'm always looking for, I like the answers or, what they reply.
Yeah.
Because, hey, I never thought of that. I'm one guy. I have a head full of stuff, but it's not always everything. You know?
All of us can always learn. There's always something new to learn. Yeah, absolutely. So perfect, everybody. Well, hey, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Hey, before you go, I want to make sure that you know to include the hashtag Lockboss when you comment on our videos, and you automatically get hooked up to win free stuff that we give away each and every week. Tune in live here on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and find out who the lucky winners are. I'm rooting for you. We'll see ya.